Viewers, a few hours ago, we heard from US President Donald Trump on what is happening in West Asia and specifically what is his view on the ongoing war. It was a full throttle victory pitch from Donald Trump on what he called Operation Epic Fury. Trump claimed overwhelming success in the conflict with Iran, asserting that Iran's military has been decimated. Its navy gone and its air force in ruins, he claimed. He said key leadership figures have perished and IRGC's command structure has been hit hard, with missile capabilities severely degraded and defense infrastructure annihilated. Doubling down, Trump also labeled Iran as a terror regime, vowing that the United States of America will never allow a nuclear Iran. He also attacked past leadership, calling the Iran deal a disaster and taking credit for the strike on Soleimani. Projecting confidence, Trump said America is winning big. The objectives are nearing completion and the mission will be finished, even as he paid tribute to 13 US soldiers.
To hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong. In the meantime, discussions are ongoing. Regime change was not our goal. We never said regime change, but regime change has occurred because of all of their original leaders' death. Tonight, I want to provide an update on the tremendous progress our warriors have made in Iran and discuss why Operation Epic Fury is necessary for the safety of America and the security of the free world. From the very first day I announced my campaign for president in 2015, I have vowed that I would never allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. This fanatical regime has been chanting death to America, death to Israel for 47 years. Their proxies were behind the murder of 241 Americans in the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut, the slaughter of hundreds of our service members with roadside bombs. They were involved in the attack on the USS Cole, and they carried out the countless other heinous acts, including the just horrible, bloody atrocities of October 7th in Israel, something that most people have never seen anything like it. This murderous regime also recently killed 45,000 of their own people who were protesting in Iran, 45,000 dead. For these terrorists to have nuclear weapons would be an intolerable threat. The most violent and thuggish regime on earth would be free to carry out their campaigns of terror, coercion, conquest, and mass murder from behind a nuclear shield. I will never let that happen, and neither should any of our past presidents. This situation has been going on for 47 years and should have been handled long before I arrived in office. I did many things during my 2 terms in office to stop the quest for nuclear weapons by Iran first, and perhaps most importantly, I killed General Qasem Soleimani in my first term.
Joining us on the broadcast this morning are my guests. We have retired Lieutenant General D.P. Pandey, who is a defense expert, retired ex-Navy veteran Commander V.K. Jaitley is also live with us. We are also joined on the broadcast by Ambassador Dr. Jeffrey Gunter, former diplomat. Good morning to all of you, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now. Lieutenant General D.P. Pandey, to you first. What was your understanding of what US President Donald Trump said today? Did you expect any kind of announcement in terms of, when this war is going to end? Because we didn't really get anything conclusive from what he said today.
Okay, so thanks for having me over. The thing is that, firstly, it is very clear indication that the region is going to be embroiled for a little bit more time. That is one facet I think he wanted to convey. Therefore, end closure is not the part of the statement. The second part is that a justification for why he has gone to the war, in terms of everybody saying that it is Israel first war and not the American war. I think he's drawn 2 very important contexts to his statement that for last about 47 years, a number of attacks by the Iranians and the proxies on American people, establishment, military force, their embassy, and everything has been drawn as a reference point, and therefore it gives them the just and balance, and therefore a very great authority for him to go for this operation, which he has gone as Operation Epic Fury. The second part for his justice, for justifying his actions, he's talked about 40,000 plus, I think 46,000 number he said, was of killing of the protesters who had come on the street, and therefore that is where I think these are two very, very important facets he's talked of. But when you look at the larger this thing game plan, I think the challenge which remains with the American power is this rush, and I keep on saying about the American impatience to finish something quickly is fraught with always dangers, and that is where their downfall comes or the failures come, versus the Asian resilience, patience, because when you start making a statement that I'm going to go out after 2 weeks, or within a week or 10 days an operation, then the people on the ground, the regime, monarchies, the leadership knows that we need to buy time. We need to create the expense of this war to Americans, because there are two factors which have been cited very often by the American experts themselves. One is the fear of body bags, and the second is every 2 years an election. 4 years for election, and every 2 years there's a midterm. This cycle ensures a haste in finishing a job, which is very, very difficult when you're fighting a war from an American continent, a distant war where people are on the ground is much more difficult to finish a war.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, we'll go across to my other guests as well. But before that, let's also tell our viewers a little bit about what else happened after Donald Trump's speech earlier today. In fact, oil prices that fell below $100 per barrel mark yesterday in anticipation that, you know, some big announcement is likely to be made by the US president today as far as this war is concerned. But that did not happen, and hence the oil prices actually went up. Brent crude oil price, in fact, touched $106 per barrel once again. As a result, the stock markets, financial markets in Asia and in India specifically, all saw massive sell-off. Let me go across to Ashesha, my colleague who's joining us on the broadcast at this point in time. Ashesha, good morning. Markets have reacted negatively to what we witnessed earlier today, to the speech of US President Donald Trump. Can you take us through what is happening in the stock markets on Dalal Street and other Asian markets right now?
Well, yes, although US President Donald Trump said that the war could end in the next 2 to 3 weeks, the world clearly is not convinced, and that is the reason we are seeing this kind of reaction for global equity markets. US futures are trading in the red after US President Donald Trump's speech. Asian markets are bleeding in trade today, and so is the case for Indian equities. Look at the kind of moves that we are seeing for Indian equity markets today. Nifty is now down more than 2% for today's trading session. It is now nearing that 22,100 mark. That's as far as the Nifty is concerned. Nifty Bank has shed 1,400 points in trade today, 2.5% lower for Nifty Bank, and Sensex 2 is down nearly 1,800 points in today's trading session. Across the board, most sectoral indices continue to bleed, and this is on account of Donald Trump's speech and post-comment analysis, which suggests that the war is not looking to end anytime soon, and that is the reason we are seeing this kind of carnage. And as you rightly mentioned, oil prices, after falling below that $100 per barrel, have rebounded because Trump's speech was not convincing enough for the market, and that is the reason Brent is now trading at $105 per barrel mark. Gold and silver too have softened on account of expectations that Federal Reserve might keep interest rates higher for longer. And that is the reason we have seen cool off for gold and silver over the last few trading sessions, and that continues today as well. Of course, time will tell what happens on the geopolitical front, but for now, equity markets clearly are not convinced.
All right. Thank you very much, Ashesha. I appreciate you joining us with all of those details. So, investors are quite nervous because they do not like uncertainty, and that is exactly what we have as far as the ongoing West Asia war is concerned. That continues. Let's also now listen in to what US President Donald Trump had said on what happens next as far as this war is concerned. He now has got plans to target the energy infrastructure in Iran.
If there is no deal, we are going to hit each and every one of their electric generating plants very hard and probably simultaneously. We have not hit their oil, even though that's the easiest target of all, because it would not give them even a small chance of survival or rebuilding. But we could hit it, and it would be gone, and there's not a thing they could do about it. They have no anti-aircraft equipment. Their radar is 100% annihilated. We are unstoppable as a military force. The nuclear sites that we obliterated with the B-2 bombers have been hit so hard that it would take months to get near the nuclear dust, and we have it under intense satellite surveillance and control. If we see them make a move, even a move for it, we'll hit them with missiles very hard again. We have all the cards, they have none. It's very important.
Ambassador, Dr. Jeffrey Gunter, how should we really interpret what Donald Trump has said today, the US president? We will hit them very hard. We are unstoppable as a military force. There are threats that are continuing, but even Iran is continuously retaliating in equal measure. Look what was happening while his speech was going on.
I don't know. I have to respectfully disagree with that statement. Iran is not retaliating at all. Where is their Navy? At the bottom of the sea. Where is their Air Force? Completely destroyed. Where is Soleimani? Somewhere, but he's not on this planet. Where is their supreme leader, the Ayatollah? He is gone. Where are their leaders of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps? They are gone. Where are their drones? They are not flying. Where are their missiles? They are not launching. This is a country that has been devastated by the greatest military we've seen in the history of the world, which is the United States of America in the last 30 days. They've been decapitated, they've been decimated, and they've been virtually destroyed. And I would listen to my friend and the greatest president we've ever had, Donald J. Trump, when he says their energy infrastructure is next. You have to listen to Donald Trump. If you don't listen to him, go ask Soleimani and go ask the Ayatollah. The United States has devastated Iran. This has been a massive operation. It'll be in the war history.
Ambassador Gunter, then two questions very quickly. Firstly, you're saying that as Donald Trump, the US president, has said that Iran's capabilities have been obliterated completely. You can't see any drones, missiles. Last night only we got this news of how Amazon's data centers have been targeted. Apart from that, what is the end game here? If everything has been decimated, as you're also extremely convinced, you're also extremely convinced about, then why is the operation still continuing?
Oh, he's never said that we have completely obliterated the drones. He's never said we've completely obliterated the missiles. They still have very, very limited capabilities. And what we've done is successfully peeled away their leadership. And ultimately, President Trump will find Iranian leadership that is more reasonable and will understand that it's a hopeless situation for them, and they will actually make peace. And let there be no misunderstanding. The United States has all the energy it needs. It is the #1 producer of oil in the world right now. It's the #1 producer of natural gas in the world right now. We don't have a need for Middle Eastern oil, but the president is there supporting our great allies like the Saudis, like UAE, and men like the Qataris. They are our allies, and we will bring peace and stability to the region. And let there be no misunderstanding. India is a great ally too, and this will benefit. In the long run, this will benefit the people of India, because the last thing they need is another nuclear rival on their doorstep. You already have one in Pakistan. You all don't need two. And President Trump eliminated their nuclear capabilities, and he's doing the world a massive favor. And like he said in his speech, many presidents before him could not do it. President Trump did it.
Okay. You're saying that whatever is happening, Trump is actually doing a massive favor to the world. Let's get in a word from a former diplomat, Ambassador Anil Triguniath as well, who's joining us on the broadcast this morning. Sir, good morning. Thank you for speaking with us your own times. Now, what did you make of what US President Donald Trump said earlier today? And do you agree with Ambassador Gunter when he says that, Trump is actually doing a massive favor to the world by doing what he is doing with Iran?
Yeah, I can hear, yes. Well, I have great regard for Ambassador Gunter, and little bit I have heard what he said. But I can say what I saw this morning by President Trump addressing Americans, basically, not the world. He is trying to convince the American people that the war objectives have been met, that he had certain strategy and certain war games. But as an objective person, I would like to say that it has been shifting from day one. If it was simply the nuclear deal, then you almost had the deal there, which the Omanis have very clearly articulated. You have to read Foreign Minister Busseri's piece in Economist, which very clearly says that. If it was for missiles, the American intelligence itself has claimed that the Iranians are nowhere near having a missile outreach to the United States. As far as the neighbors are concerned, they have become the collateral, whom you think are going to support them. So I think that they are also in problem. Israel itself is under being attacked on a regular basis. Yesterday, there were 100 missiles that went off. So irrespective of whatever the claims are, and for whoever the claims are, the world is suffering today. And it is not for a very holy cause. War never serves the purpose. And there is a general here, and they can tell you that war should be the last resort of anything. And in this war, if we were to believe his Secretary of State, Rubio, he mentioned the very first day. President Trump said regime change was his agenda the very first day. The second day, Rubio is trying to say that since Israel was determined to go in, we were supposed to go. So I have collated the whole list of statements going back and forth on that. So to me, President Trump looked a bit distraught, looked not so convincing about himself, what he's trying to convince the people. He's just trying to justify the prolongation of war by quoting the previous wars, which have served nothing except, if you were to look at Iraq, they manufactured the evidence there. So credibility was not there. So therefore, Iraq still remains a difficult place. It has not stabilized. I was ambassador to Libya. I have seen what happened in Libya. Till today, Libya is not stabilized. Now, of destabilization, there is no doubt about it that the American military is the best military in the world, maybe the most powerful military in the world. It has a tremendous war machine to destroy the world. But what you have done is, in the sense, is decapitating one leader or the other leaders. What they have done is essentially got more radical leaders in place.
Right.
IRGC is today in control, which is a cleric kind of a military, which is there, which have come with the strategy of this. Tomorrow, if they go in, I can tell you, even if they don't have anything left, the Iranians is not Iraq. If they are left with nothing, you will have a guerrilla warfare there. And it will be once again a very major mistake that will be committed, which will lead nowhere.
Right. Well, absolutely. And this has clearly got the entire world worried because of what's happening in energy markets specifically. And as a result, the financial markets, the stock markets are also reacting negatively to what US President Donald Trump said today. Gentlemen, stay on with us. Let's also tell our viewers how the markets here in India really opened this morning. Sensex, in fact, opened with the sea of red. And as we speak, Sensex is down about 1,480 points. It's trading at 71,653. And it's not just Dalal Street, viewers, that is seeing the impact as far as what's happening in West Asia. We are seeing stock markets across Asia trading in the red right now. Let's take you through how the markets have really reacted after Donald Trump's address today. Sensex fell about 1,400 points down. Then we had Nifty seeing a cut of about 1.85%. If you look at Japan's Nikkei, that index in fact also fell by about 2.18%. And apart from that, South Korea's Kospi fell over 4% yesterday after US President Donald Trump's address. Hong Kong's Hang Seng also seeing a cut of about 1.10%. So this is, viewers, how the stock markets in Asia specifically reacted to US President Donald Trump's speech. Let's move on, and we have some more